So, I read Becoming Kareem, Growing Up on and Off the Court by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Raymond Obstfeld. So basically what this is about is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's life, and he was born as Lou Alcindor, and he talks about how he grew up in New York City and faced a lot of diversity, and he was very exposed to diversity, so that really helped him figure out like his place, his why, and yeah, he kind of figured out his life. One time where like it really stood out, like what was wrong with the world and like what needed to be fixed, was when he was coming home from his basketball practice and he knew there was like a riot for a black kid who had been brutally murdered for no good reason really, and the person who had killed him was facing no consequences at all. So he was on his way there, and when he came out of the train station, he heard gunshots and screaming, and that's actually where my quote comes in. It's, I ran. I ran as hard and as fast as I could, afraid my height would make me an easy target for a nervous cop, and I'd end up like the 15-year-old kid whose death had started this riot. I crouched as I ran, making myself as small as possible, which wasn't small enough. I still loomed over the rest of the people. I had never been so scared in my life, or so sure a stray bullet might punch through my back at any second. Even as I ran, adrenaline pumping my heart like a boxer's speed bag, I also felt a shared rage with the people running beside me. To me, this quote demonstrates the realization that that sweet life that we're all introduced to as kids is this interpretation of the real world that leaves out all of the bad stuff, keeping us sheltered from it until eventually we figure things out. Because when he went to this rally, he just thought it was going to be like people protesting for a good cause. He didn't realize that there was going to be violence or anything like that. So he thought it was just going to be like, yeah, that's not right, but that's not what happened. Because his parents sort of shielded him from the outside world, and he didn't really know anything about it until his best friend called him a racial slur in 5th grade, which he didn't really think that much of it because he was in 5th grade. But then he went to this rally and saw all this violence, and he was like, whoa, this is really bad. So that kind of opened him up to the adversity that he had to face later in his life, and he realized that he could make a difference. So he became a civil rights activist, attending Martin Luther King Jr.'s press conferences, meeting and conversing with Malcolm X at his local YMCA, and many other opportunities that helped him to get to where he is today. On top of all this, he was angry. He was angry at his coach for calling him a racial slur. He was angry at the police and his fellow citizens for killing innocent people. And most of all, he was angry at the world for making him different, for being hated by others for no good reason. This demonstrates that he didn't realize the severity of anything going on until it began to affect his life. Now, my personal anecdote is that my whole childhood, I grew up in this world where everything was great. Now, obviously, I can't really connect to this because, I've never been in the same situation as Lou Alcindor was when he was a kid. But when I was a kid, everyone got along and loved each other. And, when I played like soccer, like for the t-shirt league where there's the blue team versus the purple team, and the blue team went 0-7, we still got a participation trophy, right? Because like that's what it's supposed to be like. Everyone gets a participation trophy because we all deserve it. But did we really? In 1st grade, I thought so, but as I started to get older, I came to the realization that things wouldn't just be handed to me, and I'd have to work to achieve my goals. Elementary school was really easy for me, and I flew through the classes understanding pretty much everything that came my way. I was friends with everyone and life was great, but once I got to middle school, some people separated themselves from me, and I did the same to them. This shows that I was sort of done living that life with participation trophies and my parents shielding me from the outside world, and I was ready to do things on my own. But I do think that having your kids have this like mentality that participation trophies and you did good even if you really didn't, I feel like that's good because it helps kids to build their morale and can help them grow as people. So it's definitely necessary and important. And then my picture, I will have to have Mr. Martin pull that up on a slide, but it's a picture of a participation trophy that says, if you had fun, you won. Now, this connects back to my personal anecdote because it's kind of like that idea that like, oh, you had fun, awesome, then you did a great job, but like, I've been at like a soccer game before where like I had fun, but we didn't win. And it was like a JV level game, right? So obviously I care about winning, but like I'm not just going to go out and act like we did a great job, even though, say, we lost by like 2 goals, because we obviously could have done better, and it was a team that we thought that we would beat. So yeah.